Okay, so out of theater reaction for Scream 6, obviously now this is the second time we've gotten the chance to go to theater together and see a Scream film like this, and we both relatively enjoyed the last one, right? I would say you did.
Number 5, you mean?
Yes, the last one,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, I loved it.
Yeah, I mean, because I felt the same way that, again, I felt like 90% of the film, it was fine. It was kind of basic Scream. You know, like I say, it plays almost like an anniversary film, especially considering how they were playing it up, you know, kind of the requel, almost retreading the original in that sense. It just felt like the last 10% where the reveal happened, a little underwhelming, a little rushed, if you will, just the climax itself and stuff like that. So, but for the most part, I saw a lot of potential where they could follow that up with. But now getting to Scream 6 1 year later, we haven't seen one come out so close together since like the original 96 and 97. And so a lot of potential, a lot of theories, a lot of ideas going into this one, what could happen. So just your initial reaction, how did you feel coming out of it? And of course, this will be spoiler free for the time being. We'll do a follow-up diving in.
Well, honestly, I was just terrified that people were going to be talking the whole time. And I mean, they like weren't, but you know, the crowd reactions to certain things made it like awesome. So but you know, it was good. I kind of had the whole we all know the bodega sequence from the trailers. That was
Yeah.
pretty badass. So I can at least talk about that. And then certain other parts were like really cool, good kills.
Yeah,
And
I would.
yeah.
What I would say is that, I mean, they did say that the kills were gonna be a bit more raw, a little bit more intense, and to an extent that they were. Again, because even the last film, it was still pretty basic, but at least it's kind of like they did have a certain ruthlessness, like, you know, with the spoiler for Wes stab to the neck in the last
That
movie,
was
something like that. You do kind of have some similar ones, kind of, let's just say, in a sense where the stabbings are a little bit more intense, but probably you're not going to get that big of a variety of kills themselves. It's not as much of a variety as I was kind of expecting them to kind of probably put more into this one. You know what I mean? They were good. They were, again, raw, intense. There was one in particular, yeah, that you kind of got a hint at in the trailer what could happen in the scene, but then yeah, that was pretty good and pretty just like, yeah, I mean, because I was going like that more often than what I realized I was probably going to with any, since even the last film, where I'm just like, yeah, again, not majorly creative, but like, yeah, I felt that. Yeah. It's like this basically.
Yeah. I mean, so staying spoiler free, in the beginning, in the, you know, in that person's apartment, and yeah, I mean, that kind of was definitely creative, but I mean, we didn't get to see that, obviously, but that's okay. I mean, I've seen enough other kinds of movies to know how that sort of thing ends up, but
yeah.
yeah.
And opening wise, it's different for sure.
Yeah.
I had already listened to some other reviews. There's spoiler free reviews, and saying, yeah, how the opening is different, it is creative, and for the most part, I would agree with that. I liked how they handled that, as far as keeping it to the spirit of what a Scream opening is, but flipping it around. And you'll see things like that throughout this film, where I will say that they kind of handled flipping, you know, the Scream formula around a bit in a fun, creative way. Some other things probably not so much, but generally speaking, I felt like there was a little bit more creativity in this one, as opposed to the last one, I would say, for sure. So characters in this one, obviously we have a lot of the returning characters from the previous one. How did you feel about them this time around as opposed to last time? Did they feel like they grew on you a little bit more, or perhaps did you maybe like any a little less?
Well, I mean, there's no way you can possibly hate the twins. I mean, you love them. So
Yeah.
I didn't dislike them in the first place. I didn't dislike Sam or Tara.
No.
So, you know.
I mean, a lot of the general consensus for a lot of people, I think, the last time was that Tara was kind of the show stealer. Obviously, you know, she's definitely kind of, you know, rising in her own right now with Wednesday and all this stuff. So she's definitely a solid actress. And I would say that she definitely kind of stole it a bit last time around, as opposed to Samantha, Melissa Barrera's character, where she felt a little bit lesser in the first one. In this one, I felt like she definitely grows a bit more as far as that, to where she has a little bit more of a balance between her and, you know, her sister's character and all that stuff. So I do feel like, yeah, she has a little bit more to chew on this time around, if you will. Definitely still not Neve Campbell level, I would say. I mean, still, like, Neve Campbell is like really up there. Like, even for the genre itself, is still up there. It's gonna be hard to top that, but for the most part, better. And the last one, yeah, as far as the twins, I think I liked the brother a bit more, definitely, the last time around. I definitely liked him more this time as well. I feel like he definitely elevated a bit, because even in the last one, I felt like Mindy was a little bit shaky to me. I'm like, I'm not quite sure if I like her enough. Like, I don't know if she's coming across, like, they're trying too hard with her to make her that Randy type, to where I don't know if she felt as organic, you know. And this one, I'm still kind of, I liked some of her moments. She did have some fun little moments. Some other moments, like dialogue wise, I'm not entirely sure still how I'm like, still could be a little bit more natural in a way, but for the most part, I was like, I'm still fine with her. But I still think that the brother is the better of the two, if you ask me. So I don't know if you feel the same way at all. I mean, because she did have some funny lines, but yeah.
Yeah. No, they both were really good, honestly, and I didn't have any, like, dislike against any characters, at least upon first viewing, you know.
Yeah.
So.
And of course, another big return character as far as legacy characters are Gale and Kirby. Now, of course, Kirby, it's been over 10 years now since we saw her, because this is really like the third era of Scream. You had the original run, and then you had that middle where they tried to do a fourth one. They were going to set up a trilogy then, but of course Scream 4 kind of underperformed, and so it's kind of been dormant until now. So she's kind of like that middle gap that bridges like the old generation, that new generation. How did you feel about Kirby and her character, and having her be who I mean, it's pretty much well known now at this point. She's a cop, she's FBI at this point. How did you feel about that turn for her?
I wish I could have rewatched 4 then, just to get a refresher on her. But
she was basically the Randy
fun.
of that
film.
I mean, she was the film.
Yeah, because there was the certain part in the movie. I'm like, okay. But it's been a while since we had watched that one. But
yeah, I felt like, especially the way they utilized Kirby, I would say that I liked it. I felt like maybe could have been a little bit more. I'm not sure. I felt like maybe a little something was missing. Perhaps. I mean, I would have to see it again to really kind of see. But for the most part, I felt like they executed her from start to finish pretty well. So I felt like she didn't feel like a waste or anything like that. No, I felt like she was utilized well. Especially some of her later moments, I felt like were actually pretty good. She still had that charm to her that was nice and everything. Gale, of course, you know, same old Gale at this point. I mean, there's not a whole lot there with her necessarily with this one, but she's still the Gale that we know, the Gale that we love, and stuff like that. And of course, the scene you see in the trailer, that whole attack sequence, we know at this point. And where that goes, I mean, that, I guess that just depends on your point of view. I guess where they went with it, let's just say I'm a little surprised, to be honest with you. But not bad as far as that sequence goes. It was still good suspense factor for sure. And I would say throughout the whole film, definitely as far as suspense factor, as far as the chase sequences, definitely they did a pretty good job of translating the intensity of this ghost face throughout the film, and so that carries over pretty well. So we'll just try to get to the real reason of all this. It's really the make or break sort of deal. As far as the ending, the reveal or reveals, whichever, depending on what happens, did that work for you at all?
The because I mean, you kind of know a little bit of it beforehand, and then the last bit, it's like, oh well, okay, but it wasn't like shocking. Does that make sense? Without getting spoilery, without saying anything specific. So
okay, it's
because I can explain it off cam and you'll get it, but you know,
let's just say this, okay? For me personally, okay, the film as a whole, again, like the last Scream movie, I felt like I enjoyed it. I felt like as a whole, it was fine. I liked the film. As far as like comparing it to the last Scream movie, I felt like it did do some things better, but at the same time, somewhat kind of underwhelming to a certain degree as well. It's hard to explain. It's hard to quantify unless I really go into. But
that's like what I was saying. Is like I wasn't shocked.
Yeah, but when it comes to the reveal, let's just say this: as far as the reveals of the last film, not terrible, serviceable for what they were going for, and even that, then I still felt like a bit shaky. Definitely towards the bottom as far as notable ghost faces. This one, it almost might be below that. I'm not even kidding. I can't. I just felt like I'm not. I don't know if I don't want to say it. I don't want to.
No,
but
then don't. If it's spoilery, then don't.
No, it's not spoilery. But I'm just like, at the same time, I'm just. It's like wasted potential, I think. As far as like what could have been, I'm just saying. I don't know. So you like that you were fine with it as far as
it is what it is, you know.
Yeah,
I have questions,
yeah.
But you know, I'm not like pissed off. You know what I mean? Does that?
No, I'm not. I wouldn't say I'm pissed. I mean, especially now, like I've learned to be disappointed with a lot of these things that come out now. But you know,
well, when you have no expectations, it's just like, oh, okay, well, that thing happened.
Yeah, you know. But obviously, with something like this, like Scream, I mean, it's like Star Wars. It's like, yeah, big sci-fi epic. You kill off certain characters, do this and that. Yeah, it's a major. This is horror. You know, it's Scream. It's different. Like I expect maybe certain people get killed off here and there, or certain things, whatever. But yeah, as far as just the comparison to even where I felt like, I'm like, okay, well, I can see where you could justify the last reveals of that one. This one, though, being the middle point, is for what you expect to be a new trilogy, and the kind of 7 maybe topping off the whole run of films that until they do another like full-on reboot. Like this one now, especially with what they went with, as far as I'm concerned, that's strike 2. I'm just like, you made the last 2 actually seem way more competent now, I feel, in a lot of ways. I'm just gonna put it that way. That's just me personally. I'm just that's a big deal for a Scream movie, because it's not like Freddy or Jason, Michael. You know who you're getting. With these films, I mean, the reveal themselves and the motive, that kind of makes or breaks it, very much so. And for me on this one, I'm still just like, you're still not topping any of the original 4 killers from those first. You're still like at the bottom tier at this point, and I'm just like, I don't know if I can. I don't know. That's just me though. It's not spoilers right now, but hey, I'm just saying right now. I'm not really feeling it that much.
Yeah, I never said they were good or that the reveal was.
I'm not feeling it.
Like...
I'm not feeling it. Whether it be killer or killers, I'm just saying, like, especially with the theories that, you know, stuff like Stu, this and that. All I'm saying right now, I'll just top it off with this. I'm just saying, yeah, the idea of like a Stu or somebody, whether it's him or not, whether he was executed well, I mean, it could have been him. Maybe it was executed poorly. I don't know. All I know is that a lot of ideas that I have and other people may have had, definitely, I'm
way
just saying,
better.
Just plot wise, as far as motivation, as far as reasoning, as far as timing, I'm just saying, easily, those ideas specifically make all of this seem like just, yeah, so you thought those people were crazy who thought that those ideas could have been just outlandish? No, this is what I was saying before. I'm like, this is what happens when you keep going, and I'm just like, you keep adding these other characters and you try not to give a thorough plot line throughout the series, and you do stuff like this to where I'm just like, that's when you run the risk of losing the audience and losing really just solid just storytelling. And this isn't a pure example of that, bar none, I would say, especially for the middle film. So we got at least one more coming, and I'm just like, well, you're really gonna have to make some pure, like, OG screen perfection in order to really save it as a whole. That's all I'm gonna say. That's all I'm gonna say. Okay, but we'll
for the moment.
For the moment, yeah. So that'll just do it for this review. Obviously, yeah, I got a little bit into it, but I'm just saying,
we'll get more into it when it's not late and we have to work in the morning. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but that'll do it for our spoiler review. Anyway, yes, yeah, we'll be back for more spoiler talk. But like, obviously, you know, everyone's gonna have their own thoughts and opinions. And like I said, as a whole, again, like the last one, it was fine. I had some good moments and some, you know, as far as some, you know, fun, unique approaches, those for the most part worked. But by the end of the day, I'm still a bit, just a little underwhelming. I'll just say that much. All right, so that'll do it for this video, and we'll see you next time. Bye for now.